What is up, guys? Wrestling Premiere is here. Man, it's about time I uploaded an old pay-per-view review video. You know, I owe you guys hence the amount of uploads recently. Add to that, I'm pretty hyped and energetic after that long hiatus. And in my time away, I thought about the channel. I was like, I gotta work hard. That's how it is. I am hyped. You could hear it by the sound of my voice in the previous videos. I am eager to get to that goal of mine, which is 100k subscribers. But anyways, I don't want to annoy you guys. Bad Blood 2004, it was the culmination of a 2-year feud between Shawn Michaels and Triple H. Now, with regards to WWE, it was at this point they realized that they've got to make stars quick, and you can notice them scrambling to make Orton, Batista, Cena, and Edge feel like a big deal. I like 2004 in general, you know. SmackDown vs. Raw was released that year, and it's probably the game I am most nostalgic towards. I already talked about the year in this video, so check it out if you're interested. Also, 2002 WWE is coming, and that's going to be over 35 minutes. I am hyped for that one as well. I know a bunch of you are, and I haven't made a year video in a while due to the fact that they take so damn long. But yeah, WWE 2002 coming real soon. Anyways, Bad Blood 2004 was held in the Nationwide Arena in Columbus, Ohio on June 13, 2004. 9,000 fans were in attendance to witness the end. The buy rate was 264,000, which was 110,000 less than 2003, which in defense of 04 was actually the first brand exclusive pay-per-view. The theme song was Sold Me by Seether, and there was also a 12-stone song by the name of Backup used in the main event's promo. Enough talk. Let's get into it. The first match was the World Tag Team Championships. La Resistance, Robert Conway, and Sylvain Grenier defend the gold against fellow Canadians Edge and Chris Benoit. So, for some reason, Chris Benoit was going double duty. He began teaming up with Edge a few weeks back, and if I remember correctly, and I might correct myself, they had already won the titles beforehand. La Resistance was treading upwards without Rene Dupree. You know, they were featured much more on Raw and even had a superb moment in West Canada, winning the tag titles. I believe it was in Quebec. Edge was finally back, but he lacked that 2002 excitement. You know, he was just there. He was angry for no reason and didn't really have much of a character. Chris Benoit, on the other hand, was the man in 2004. You know, he was Raw's workhorse. He was probably the MVP of 04. Depends on who you see. I said it in the old video. You know, that 2004 review video, it's Randy Orton for me, but yeah. Okay, so the bell rings. Edge and Sylvain with a collar and elbow, side headlock, all that. World champions in. He goes for the headlock, early wrestling stuff, and Edge is back in once more. Sylvain finally fights back to tag in Robert. He doesn't accomplish much initially, as Benoit had a more intensity in his offense. They were tagging in and out, and the Edge hits a flapjack. They get him a 2-count because Conway broke the fall. Edge made one of those babyface mistakes, leading to the heels finally taking control, and Conway focused on his neck, leading to the crowd rallying him on. It didn't lead to him breaking out, though, and La Resistance decided to isolate him. You know, they're tagging in and out. Heel Tag Team 101. Grenier makes a little mistake leading to a crossbody, but he quickly drags Edge to their side of the ring. Conway's in. He hits a suplex that gets him a near fall, and the man was all over him. You know, it was looking real bad at this point for Edge. Benoit had yet to get tagged in, and in the ring, Edge catches Grenier with a spin kick, and he was finally going to tag in the world champion. Well, that would be delayed because Conway knocked the world champion off the apron. Edge finally figures things out. Partner gets back up on the apron, and he's in. Benoit bounced those guys around with knockdowns, German suplexes, explosive suplexes, and the momentum clearly shifted, and Grenier found himself in the sharpshooter. Luckily, though, Conway comes to his aid. He does nothing. Drama ensues when Edge almost spears Chris, and they quickly turn it around as the world champion managed to lock Grenier in the crossface. Edge spears Conway, and it was all but over, but suddenly the pyro explodes, and that's gotta be Kane. He runs in and boots both Chris Benoit and Edge before chokeslamming them, and it was a DQ finish. Man, just as the match was getting fun, it ended then and there. It's such a damn shame. But anyways, Kane threw Benoit to the steps, and it was looking real dire for him. And in defense of the finish, it did make sense that Kane would interfere, but whatever. Like I said, DQ finishes on pay-per-view, I just don't like him. In the back, Eric Bischoff's riling up the coach, telling him to put a beating on his nephew, and he was saying all of this stuff near him. He twisted it, stating he was trying to protect him, and Bischoff reminded him of the time his favorite wrestler suffered a quad injury, you know, Triple H. He mentioned how his best friend Chris Benoit broke his neck, and Eugene clearly didn't want to listen to Bischoff, insisting on following his desires, you know. He was so obsessed with kicking his nephew out of the WWE, but it really wasn't working at this point. The next match was between Chris Jericho and Tyson Tomko. So at this point in time, Chris Jericho was amidst another babyface run. He was over, of course. He was engaged in a feud with Christian, but the problem was Captain Charisma got injured, so his problem solver was going to continue the story. I'll remake that video after I do their tag team run, but anyways, the bell rings, and Tomko's already aggressive. Jericho utilized his speed and agility to evade some of the problem solver's offense, but despite this, Tomko managed to clothesline him before tossing him into the corner. Y2J bounced back with a missile dropkick, and Jerry Lawler was drooling over Trish on commentary. Springboard, and I should mention that Chris was going into this match with a rib injury. Problem Solver was struggling so bad at this point, so Trish interfered, leading to Jericho's ribs being crushed. They were clearly a red target, I don't need to say it, and even when he tried to mask it, Tomko knew what's up. He locked him in a bear hug, crowd's trying to rally him on, and just as he's got it figured out, Tomko slams him down on the mat. Elbow goes south, and Jericho's got some breathing room. He begins his comeback, fans are cheering, but then the lion saw was unsuccessful, and then Tomko hits a modified backbreaker that wowed the crowd. Didn't keep Y2J down for long as he chop blocked Mr. Problem Solver before attempting the walls. That didn't go as planned, but that tactic of his was starting to work. As he's going for the walls, Trish interferes. Tomko bumps into her, leading to the enziguri, which once again I forgot was Trish's finisher at the time. 1, 2, 3. Not bad. Tomko is greener than grass at this point, but with a seasoned vet in there with him, the match didn't disappoint, plus it was short. In the back, Randy Orton was being interviewed by Todd Grisham, and he talked about how tomorrow marked 6 months since he won the Intercontinental Championship. Of course, he bragged about beating Mick Foley, and while he did praise Shelton Benjamin, Orton believed that he lacked greatness. The fans were booing him, so he decided to throw insults their way, and I accomplished more at 24 than all of you combined. The boos clearly got under his skin, so he decided to go for a walk. He praised himself endlessly, I beat Mick Foley, I spat in his face. Sure, you worked hard for that raise, but this is real greatness. He told them that greatness has entered the ring and they may bow at will, and damn, was he good at generating heat. All of a sudden, Shelton Benjamin's music plays and he walks down to the ring, and at this point in time, this man had more momentum than a motorcycle going 100 miles per hour. He asked if Orton ever shuts up before asking if they should have the match right now. Orton's like, well, I'm not ready, and this was in spite of the fact that he was wearing his gear, but the ref ends up coming in against his will and rings the bell. And already, Shelton goes for the roll-up. 1, 2, that was close. Benjamin with a drop kick to send Orton to the outside, and he tries abandoning the match, but the challenger tossed him back into the ring. Now the match is on. Orton quickly tries righting the ship, but Benjamin was schooling him, and even when he tries to start on offense, Shelton finds a way to evade his attack and turn it around. At this point in time, the crowd started chanting for Randy, not everyone of course, and after a plethora of near falls, Shelton goes for the clothesline to send the Legend Killer to the outside. He then hits the suplex off the apron, and again, Randy couldn't exactly figure it out, but then Shelton went for the Stinger Splash and Orton had it scouted. After like 10 minutes, he was finally in control. Ric Flair walks in to watch the match from a close distance, and the Legend Killer begins wearing down the challenger. And even then, this accomplished nothing because Shelton lifted him up and slammed him down to the mat. Orton bounces back with that gut-wrench neck breaker, and he drives the knee in several areas of Shelton before going for the chin lock. Fans try to get him back into the match, and after a minute, Shelton breaks through, and Orton quickly goes for the body slam. He then goes up top for a crossbody. That went about as well as the Lakers' playoff run that year. Seriously, like watching 03-04 Raw, has Orton ever connected with the move? Like, I only specifically recall him hitting it once, and that was on his debut, his Raw debut, I should know. Shelton then hits a Northern Lights, and they engage in a slugfest. Benjamin managed to win the battle before running into a forearm, but it didn't stop him, though. He hit the shoulder tackle, and the comeback was on. Clothesline, back body drop, clothesline off the top, and that almost gets him the win. Orton quickly tries bouncing back, but he's caught in the Russian leg sweep, and the champ's RKO doesn't go well. He ends up taking that spin kick. And if that wasn't bad enough, he took a Stinger Splash and a T-bone. Luckily, though, Flair put his foot on the rope. Shelton tosses him in, even locked him in the figure 4, and had that spot ended the match, it would have been a top 5 IC title change moment in my opinion. Like, it was impressive. Orton was completely lost at this point. He was clueless as to what's going on, but he quickly righted the ship with the rollover, and even grabbed the tights. 1, 2, 3. Great match, I enjoyed it for the most part, and it was a nice change from seeing the heel take control for most of the match. That wasn't the case here. Shelton Benjamin was essentially 2 steps ahead of Randy Orton during the match. Even when you expect Flair's distraction to end the match, it didn't. Orton had a superb run as IC champion, and unlike many, came out of his title reign looking better for it, Like, once he lost the title, this man was technically world championship material. So far, it's match of the night for me. Also, you gotta wonder, like, what if Shelton Benjamin never got injured? Do you guys think he would have taken the title off of Orton, or would it have been edged? In my eyes, I think Shelton would have won it because of the fact that they were building him up real well at this point, so it's kind of obvious that he would have won it. In the back, Lita and Matt Hardy are having a moment when Eric Bischoff comes in with a bunch of security. Why? Well, because he wanted to kick Matt Hardy out of the building. He was worried that Matt was going to interfere in the Kane match, and Hardy wanted to watch Lita wrestle. That clearly wasn't going to happen. The next match was for the WWE Women's Championship. Trish Stratus, Gail, Kim, and Lita challenged Victoria, the champion. She had been holding the gold for nearly 4 months up to this point, and Jerry Lawler, of course, said that Victoria's dancing reminds him of the song Milkshake. Of course. And then he asked if Matt Hardy was watching the match from a couple of blocks away, which got a laugh out of me. In the ring, Victoria's putting a beating on Gail Kim, just having fun, all while Lita and Trish Stratus were eyeing each other. They ended up fighting. Trish almost even hit the chick kick, but Lita ducked and went for a pinfall attempt with a bridge. So Tomko decides, I'm going to break the fall. The ref took notice and ejected him from ringside, and Trish is distracted, leading to the twist of fate. Kim breaks the fall. Victoria then hits a sidewalk slam on her. Multiple roll-up attempts from everyone. Lita was hitting head scissors. Gail Kim was showcasing her submission skills. Lita was starting to build momentum, exhibiting confidence, but then she bumped into the champ, and at this point, everybody was down. Jerry Lawler asked if he should check on them, to which JR said, "You'll get in trouble." Once the women recover, Lita almost steals it with a roll-up. She beats Gail Kim around and even hit that spike DDT, but then Trish Stratus runs in with a roll-up. 1, 2, 3, new champion. Hey, that was fun. Everything was moving quick, and for the most part, every multi-woman match that involves Trish and Lita always delivers. It's like FedEx. It delivers. The start of the match seemed to be centered on Lita winning it, but that clearly didn't happen, and so this was the beginning of another Trish Stratus and Lita feud. It was reignited. Like I said, though, the match was enjoyable to me, and Victoria, she never got to win the title afterwards, which is kind of odd. They spent all this time making her look good, having her win matches, and she just never won it in the next 5 years. The next match was Streak versus Streak. Eugene versus the Coach, who was undefeated on pay-per-view. For weeks on end, Eric Bischoff was desperately trying to get rid of Eugene, his nephew. He was living his dream as a WWE superstar, and William Regal was saddled with him, but over time grew to actually adore him. After weeks of failing to get rid of Eugene, Eric decided to put his buddy Coach up for the task. Anyways, Coach decided to come out wearing Michigan, sticking it to Ohio until the bell rings. Eugene tries to shake his hand, and he was acting all smart like he'll crush his hand, and he ended up feeling the pain. Collar and elbow, side headlock from the Coach. He did some messy wrestling. Eugene's offense scared him a bit, and he began rolling around. He was gullible enough to put his hand out, and Eugene ended up going for an arm drag. The offense in itself was very unorthodox. It was very weird, and basically Eugene was messing with him. Then the newcomer decided to go and play with a teddy bear, which should have gave Coach the advantage, but it clearly didn't. It was being schooled. Then he emulated Junkyard Dog, and if things weren't weird enough, a woman comes in with a plate of cookies, and I assume Bischoff wanted to lure Eugene. The idea in itself worked out well for Jonathan Coachman, but he quickly blew it. Now Eugene was making a comeback. He showed off his athleticism, even went for that airplane spin, and then Garrison Cade decided to run in and rip apart that teddy bear, and again, it didn't work out very well for the heel. Eugene hits rock bottom or the bookend, and then the people's elbow. 1, 2, 3. Hey, that lasted a bit long, but some of it was kind of funny for me. I don't know what you guys think. I believe they should have cut the beginning part and it would have been better. After the match, Eugene sort of stunned Cade before following through with the Coach, and damn, was he over. The fans really adored him at this point. It was ridiculous. Eugene was getting some of the best reactions on the entire roster at this point. It was crazy. The next match was for the World Heavyweight Championship. Chris Benoit defends the gold against Kane. Alright, it took a while for Benoit to defend the title against somebody that wasn't HBK or Triple H, and Kane was the perfect choice. Why? Because he was the most credible challenger for the title. After Kane took off his mask, he was very, very ridiculous. He was overpowered in every way, shape, or form until WrestleMania 20 when, of course, he lost The Undertaker. He was still strong here, though. The story of the feud itself was about Kane's disdain towards Benoit's life of normalcy. He despised the fact that somebody had a normal life. Add to that, he hated the fact that Benoit was champion. They made Kane seem like a huge threat by having him break the crossface, and if I remember correctly, Benoit hadn't gotten one over Kane yet. To many, this is the best singles match Kane has ever had in WWE. As you guys know, Benoit was at a severe disadvantage because, first of all, this was 2004 Kane, and second, he wasn't 100%. The world champion went into the ring with a look of hatred for Kane, and in my personal opinion, I believe he should have had a championship run during this era because he was red hot. I actually get why they didn't do it, but I don't care. Like, Kane, this guy should have been world champion. Should have been chokeslamming everyone left and right, and would have been cool. But anyways, Benoit quickly went on the attack with several chop strikes, and Chris was really trying to go for the wrestling routes, but Kane was too strong, and he clearly needed to adapt. Whatever effort Benoit was putting in wasn't showing, and he thought quick on his feet, realizing that Kane wasn't someone you can easily out-wrestle, even though submission holds weren't going to do at the moment. So he focused on one limb, the arm. Damage was being done clearly, but it wasn't much, and Kane was specifically working on that neck, applying pressure to Chris Benoit. He's trying to fight back, but Kane was too much, but still, Chris was like a pit bull. He refused to take it over an answer. He bumped Kane into the post, gaining a moment to breathe, and Chris accomplished nothing with that moment because Kane hit a quick chokeslam. This onslaught wouldn't last for long because Benoit caught Kane's leg and quickly went to work. Still, the sharpshooter wasn't successful, but at this point, Benoit had a chance. Small chance in kayfabe, but still. And to make matters better, he even isolated the other leg, and because of this, Chris Benoit unlocked the sharpshooter. Fans were cheering him on. Kane's in a hellacious amount of pain, but he reaches the ropes. Hell, he even got to hit the German hat trick, I should know. Benoit signaled the beginning of the end, but Kane sat up. He did nothing though, and Chris once again hit 3 German suplexes, totaling to 6. He goes up top, but successfully hits the diving headbutt, and even then, Kane sat up and hit the wretched choke slam. 1, 2, no, it's not over. Kane couldn't believe it. He was raging at this point, sort of like everybody else when they saw Triple H win the gold 3 months later. So it's time for the tombstone. Benoit escapes, will walk straight into the big boot. Kane climbs up for the clothesline, but Benoit catches the arm and locks him in the crossface. It was high drama at this point. Kane was stuck in the middle of the ring making no movement, and then all of a sudden, he flips him over and Chris Benoit decides to pin him. 1, 2, 3. See, Benoit was intelligent. Kane was so obsessed with escaping the crossface that he forgot himself for a moment, and in that moment, lost the entire match. But yeah, this has a claim to being Kane's best singles match. Normal, I should know. They told an excellent story with Benoit going through multiple different ideas and in the end managed to top down the big tree and even then had to outsmart him with his mind. Something that really stands out in Kane's career. In the back, Todd Grisham congratulated Benoit on the victory, who praised Kane for his abilities but said that tonight wasn't his night. You know, he found out that Chris Benoit was for real. Oh yeah, I forgot they were promoting that "for real" slogan hard at this point, and I guess they wanted to make Benoit look marketable or something. He said the same thing as earlier before adding "for real." The interview style was very different, you know, it felt sports-like. Grisham was showing highlights from the match and asking Chris about it, and he said, and this is Benoit talking in third person, Chris Benoit walked out with his arms raised, with the world title held above him, proving once again that Chris Benoit is for real. Oh man, I heard "for real" about 4 times, but yeah, the motto is adapt or perish. Benoit did the latter, and an excellent job at that, I should know. And the main event, Triple H meets Shawn Michaels inside Hell in a Cell. After 7 long years, it has come down to this. The feud was really, and I mean really, heated at this point. They faced off at SummerSlam in an unsanctioned match, faced off in an Elimination Chamber, 3 stages of Hell, a last man standing match, and even a normal singles match, but this was the end. The promo for the main event, though, was something else. You know, I really loved how they sold the brutality of this feud and why it required, keyword, required a cell match. Like, even though Bad Blood has a cell match on every pay-per-view, there was always a reason for it, and it wasn't obvious, and it wasn't like, oh, it's June, guess we gotta have a cell match. This feud craved a Hell in a Cell match, and unlike other feuds, actually served to settle this thing once and for all. Like, after this, Shawn Michaels and HBK didn't hate each other as much as they did. Like, sure, they'd face off in other matches, but it wasn't really personal. Triple H was donning those white boots, which, again, I don't understand why they weren't in that year's SmackDown vs. Raw game. This was his 4th Hell in a Cell match, and at this point was basically Mr. Hell in a Cell. Sorry, Undertaker. Shawn Michaels was entering the match for the 2nd time, and his first appearance was the first one ever in '97. Both men locked eyes, staring at each other with contempt. Rough collar and elbow tie-up to start things off, and Triple H quickly goes for a strike, but Michaels ducks. He returns the favor quickly, though, and Michaels didn't stay in the corner for long. Matter of fact, they were trading positions. Off the ropes, Michaels walks straight into a rough-ass elbow, and look at that. And the sound that it made, wow. After the replay, Michaels is the one on the offense. They have a little moment on the outside, but back in, Michaels hits a swinging neck breaker that gives him a 2 count. He then connects with those knife-edge chops and even launched Triple H into the cell. Game was taking those Ted DiBiase strikes from Michaels, and already he was bleeding from that cell moment. That's all it took, and you'd think he was Ric Flair or something. And if that wasn't bad enough, Michaels tossed him once more, and the game couldn't really get going. You know, it took a while from him. After countering an Irish whip, the game was back in it. It was so nice that he did it twice, and now he's in control. Of course, you guys know about HBK's back, so Triple H decided to target it. Michaels could barely lay on his back, as we know, and Triple H was going to dissect it. They went for moves that involved hurting the back, such as a suplex, a backbreaker, and even brought in a chair. And Shawn saw the writing on the wall, so he quickly fought back. He would have been doing much more work if it wasn't for the back, and because of this, he was much slower than usual. On the outside, Triple H fights back before slamming his ex-friend into the cell in the post repeatedly. The match in itself was very slow and methodical. You know, there wasn't much excitement or urgency in the wrestlers' moves. In the ring, Triple H gives Michaels a sidewalk slam right onto the chair, much to the shock of the crowd. And clearly not satisfied, Triple H opted to give the chair spot a sequel, and even that wasn't enough to give him the victory. So he just straight up blasted him in the back. That gave him an earful. HBK didn't stay down for long, and he managed to hip lock the game right out of there and buy some time to rest up. They engaged in a slugfest won by Michaels, who almost ran into the pedigree but evaded it with a low blow. He then hits 2 atomic drops targeting the grapefruits before tossing Hunter into the Hell in a Cell again. Hell even threw him into the steps. HBK wanted to take it one step further by hitting a pile driver atop the steps, but Triple H dropped him on his back, and to make matters worse, the game once again used that chair. He tried taking it a step further using the steps, but this gave way to a Shawn Michaels comeback. You know, despite despite the horrible amount of punishment he went through, HBK still kept up. Sweet chin music though wasn't to be, and instead, Hunter blasted him with the steps, and yes, he was busted open. He did it again, and at this point, blood was pouring. Like, talk about going to hell. Triple H was absolutely heartless, compassionless, and this was all happening while JR was talking about how they were once friends in DX. In the ring of the game, hits this rough spine buster that in kayfabe should have given them the victory, but despite this, Shawn Michaels still had something there. As he's trying to fight back, Triple H stops him dead in his tracks, and I also find it funny how the commentary team was talking about how people were wondering who was better between these two in DX. Like, it wasn't obvious. One guy was a mid-carder and the other was a main eventer, right? Michaels managed to escape the sleeper hold and toss Triple H into the corner, and he then hits the DDT. At this point in time, both men were completely spent. Oddly enough, this wasn't even close to the end. Once they recover, Michaels sends that chair into the man who featured in a Blade movie, and that cut looked worse. Then, Michaels does a sequel to this with a brutal second shot. 1, 2, shoulders up. From there, the game managed to hit the knee thing, and that in itself didn't keep Michaels down because he brought in a ladder. He used it as a battering ram, JR's quote, and at this point, Triple H was starting to beg for mercy, but that was a quality that Michaels lacked this night, and he was tossing him around as if he was trash. You know, I would describe what's up, well, it's a little of the same. Triple H tries going for the pedigree, but ends up getting catapulted into the ladder. Scoop slam from Michaels, and he once again missed the elbow. It took Hunter about as long as his reign of terror to go for the cover, so of course Michaels was going to kick out. They traded punches. Michaels sort of won this battle, and I believe the match at this point surpassed 30 minutes. They do the same thing again, and it culminates in HBK running to the post. Hunter brings in the table, and now they're fighting in slow motion. HBK wins that battle before climbing up to the top of the ladder and hitting the elbow. Finally successful, and that seemed to wake the crowd up. 1, 2, Triple H kicks out. Because of this, HBK decides, you know, it's time. He's tuned up the band, he goes for it, but he walks straight into a low blow. Hunter then successfully hits the pedigree, and after laying on the mat, goes for the cover. 1, 2, Michaels kicks out. They both recover, and Triple H shoves Michaels aside, and he basically triggered it, you know? He shoves him, and boom! Sweet chin music. After a while, he goes for the cover. 1, 2, he kicked out again. They both desperately lifted each other, but unfortunately for HBK, he received a sudden pedigree. And that image in itself tells the whole story. After about 2 minutes, no lie, I'm being completely honest, Triple H had a third pedigree. After 25 seconds, he goes for the cover. 1, 2, 3. Wow. 47 minutes and 26 seconds. The longest Hell in a Cell match in WWE history. The longest non-Iron Man / Raw Rumble match from WWE in the 2000s. At least I assume. Now, what the hell do I think of this match? Well, everything was on point. The problem with this match is the fact that it's so long, and it's long for the sake of being long. It was like they tried too hard to make it seem and feel epic, you know, like a finale. And it was the finale, but had they cut off 15 minutes, this match would be remembered much better and be adored. Like, it'd be loved completely because it was intense, it was brutal. It was everything you'd want in a Cell match without exiting the Hell in a Cell. It's like if I cooked a meal, everything's on point, but I overcooked it. Closest analogy I can think of, but yeah. The length did more harm than good for the match, but it's still my match of the night, though, you know. HBK and Triple H tore the house down for me, but having it go that long was kind of unnecessary. My favorite match was clearly Hell in a Cell. It just shouldn't have lasted as long as it did. So yeah. Alright, Bad Blood 2004 to me was decent, you know. It wasn't a bad show. It had some good matches here and there, you know, like Randy Orton, the Benoit title match, the Hell in a Cell. Wasn't outstanding or anything like that, but for a pay-per-view show, like, if you got 3 hours to kill, this is a pay-per-view for you to watch. But just know, if you're going to watch that Cell match, it is going to be very long. Like, that thing, it's longer than I expected. Like, I thought to myself, oh, 47 minutes, who cares, right? Then as time went on, I'm like, it's not over yet. But yeah, like I said, this pay-per-view, it was enjoyable for the most part. The Cell match just shouldn't have lasted as long as it did. What did you guys think of Bad Blood 2004? Please comment down below. And that's it for this video. Make sure you hit a pedigree on the like button, or perhaps the sweet chin music on the subscribe button. Peace. I'm out.